Hello, everybody.
Sleepy too. Can I go back to bed?
Nope. Okay. I feel like this is far away. All right. Coffee's ready. It's hot. You're here. I'm here. Let's do it. 3, 2, 1. Good morning, everybody. Welcome. Today is Wednesday. It's October 21st, 2020. My name is Jeremy, and this is my first cup of coffee. Could have made it a little stronger. That's okay. Felt like using the burr grinder this morning, so I just ground it, the burr grinder, the hand grinder, right into the filter, and I didn't put enough in. That's okay. A little tired, went to bed a little later than normal. Stayed up, watched a movie. And yesterday was a really interesting day. So, those of you that watch regularly know that this has been a challenging week, given the way Monday went. Good morning, Stacy. Frank says, the daily grind. Very punny, my friend. And the cat's been in a particularly annoying mood the last few days. And I really thought I was going to get out of here yesterday and go work at Panera.
But I just couldn't. Yeah.
Instead of being overwhelmed, instead of saying, oh, I've got to do all these things here, the timing doesn't work. I had an interview yesterday at 3, so the timing, I had something I had to get back here for. I said, okay, this is going to make more sense to do from here. So I did the couple things that I had to do, and I did them from my home office. It went fine. And then I was looking at the calendar saying, okay, I could go. I'm going to burn 45 minutes in travel and setup time. Let me just do this one more thing. Let me see if I can do this. And I started taking the things on my to-do list one at a time. I had just, instead of worrying about how long they were going to take me, I just took them in order of importance, and I did the best I could with each of them. I was done by 2:30. Got all my work done for the day. Okay, I started at 7:30, so it's not like it was like it was. Felt like I put in a half day. But it went well. The cat was super annoying. But that's not new. Here she comes. If you have cats, you understand. And yesterday's interview went pretty well. Audio quality is great because this person has their own podcast. You can always tell. Somebody signs on and it's like, wait a second, I don't hear any background noise. You sound great. You have an upgraded microphone. Why? Oh, you have a podcast. Everybody has podcasts these days. But then they find out they're going to be episode 550 something, and they say, wait a second, you really have a podcast? Yes, I do. Been doing it for a little while. I don't know too many shows that have gone beyond 500. Most of the podcasts I listen to, that I listened to before I started, or I should say we started Martial Arts Radio, most of those shows, I passed them. They could go for what? 1, 2. There are 2 main shows that I listen to that are in the thousands, and that's because they're daily. So, what? Or at least several times per week. 3, 4, 5. I don't want you on me. No, you stay right there. You don't have to be on me. Frank says, Jeremy, the man who puts kick in whistle kick. I think I'd rather be the person who puts whistle in whistle kick. Anything else happen? Went to the gym. I was playing with some kicks yesterday. I miss training. I miss really training. It's going to be like this for a while. Well, it started complaining. Let's shift focus. What else? I don't know if there's much else to report. What's going on today? The women law people drive my car, which isn't going to tell them anything because these are intermittent problems and Murphy's Law says nothing will happen. I did clean the heck out of it on Sunday, so at least I got that out of it. That's done, then I come back and just do work. Got a couple Zoom calls this afternoon. I'm gonna take a nap. No, I don't like I'm gonna take a nap. There was a period in my life where I was taking a 20-minute nap just about every day, and it was awesome. That was also back when there was far less that we were doing. That was probably like 2015. The show had launched. I was doing one episode a week. I didn't do anything else. I had no employees. I don't think I had anybody on the team at that point. All me. All me. And Zuza. But we get so much done now. We do so much great work. Speaking of great work, you all gave me some great stuff to talk about. Look at all those words. Oh. That's funny. They're there. Let's start with John. So yesterday, we were talking about forms, and I changed my analogy partway to describe a form, kata, pumse, whatever you call it, as a poem. And John's responding to that. I like your analogy of forms being like a poem. My instructor says that individual techniques are like words and combinations are like sentences. It seems very fitting to think of a form like a story or a poem. Yes, I agree. And it's funny you bring up a story because I think that a properly done, a passionately done form will tell a story. You can see the story in the movement. And I think quite often people neglect that aspect. They don't, I don't know, there's just something so compelling about a well-done form. I may not want to watch them all day, but I will watch them. I enjoy watching them. Lately, I've seen, Frank says, if all else fails after you get another car, you could use the old one to practice marksmanship. I would love to burn this car, blow it up, whatever. Unfortunately, I still owe money on it. Fortunately, we're at a point where I can expect that my trade-in is going to be worth slightly more than what I owe on it because I put money down on it. But, ugh. So frustrating. Lately with forms, I see people being elevated to these points of celebration. Who you watch them and their technique is great and their timing is good and they seem to have everything, but there's no life to it. It's routine. it's so practiced that it's robotic. Forms shouldn't seem robotic. There has to be life to it. And if you can't find where the life comes in, well, that's hard to practice. I think we've talked about it on the show. I am not awake enough to talk about that. Frank's given us 4 quotes today. He pulled these again from Jesse Ankamp's website, karatebyjesse.com. Let's go through them. To all those, To all those whose progress remains hampered by ego-related distractions, let humility, the spiritual cornerstone upon which karate rests, serve to remind one to place virtue before vice, values before vanity, and principles before personalities. Sokon Bushi Matsumura, aka Sokon Matsumura. It's a pretty big name. Humility. We've talked about humility. We've talked about the white belt mindset. My brain's not firing well, guys. Sorry. Humility is so critical because if you come from a place of ego, how are you going to learn more? How are you going to develop? In order to get better at something, you have to admit that there is more to get better at. You have to admit that you are not perfect. And quite often, in martial arts, you get people with just the ego. Just, ugh. I hate it. Don't you hate it, Buzzball? She doesn't know. She was a brat last night. Yeah, I don't know what else to say about that one. Humility over ego. Once a kata has been learned, it must be practiced repeatedly until it can be applied in an emergency. For knowledge of just the sequence of a form in karate is useless. Gichin Funakoshi. And this is one of those places where anti-forms people will kind of agree. Just knowing the sequence is useless. But knowing it well enough that you can use pieces of it, if we think of it again as a poem, you can pull sentences out. That can be really helpful.
But in order to really know it, you can't just do it yourself. You can't just
practice it in the same way over and over. You've got to practice in different ways. You got to mix it up. Not enough people mix it up. They do the same thing over and over. Create your own application. Get people together. How do you apply it? Visualize that. Do it blindfolded. Do it backwards. You know, on Martial Arts Radio, we've got an episode, in fact, in Martial Artist Handbook. We've got it broken down. You know, what are the drills that you can do to get better at forms? Forms are such a wonderful tool, and they are, in most schools, I would argue, either misunderstood or underutilized. I see plenty of schools that do tons of forms, but they don't talk about why they're so important. I think a lot of martial arts instructors don't understand why forms are important. A lot of instructors do what they do because that's what they were taught to do, which is a shame. A kata is not fixed or immovable. We talked about this yesterday. Like water, it's ever-changing and fits itself to the shape of the vessel containing it. However, kata are not some kind of beautiful competitive dance, but a grand martial art of self-defense, which determines life and death. Kenwa Mabuni, the founder of Shito-ryu. It can be all of those things. It can be beautiful. It can appear as a dance. You want to learn how to make your form more fluid? Pull the power and the timing out. Dance through it. There's value there. The only the only bad way to do a form is to not do it. Every time you do a form, you get better in some aspect of it. Maybe you're reducing the chance of forgetting it. It's the things you do most frequently are the things that you are most comfortable with. What if you took a form and you just did it once a day and you thought about just a few of the movements in it? At the end of the year, you've done it another 365 times. How is that not valuable? Forms. You know, the other half of forms are making up your own. People forget how powerful that can be, how it can help you understand your own place in martial arts and what's important to you. It's a wonderful mental exercise. I wish it was encouraged more. If anything, I think it's discouraged often, which is a shame. This cat has a pretty good life. Just sits and purrs and eats. Annoys me. I give her food. 5 minutes later, she annoys me again because she forgot she had food. Because she's old. She's almost 21. She's at least 20 and a half. In the old days, we trained karate as a martial art, but now they train karate as a gymnastic sport. I think we must avoid treating karate as a sport. It must be a martial art at all times. Your fingers and the tips of your toes must be like arrows. Your arms must be like iron. You have to think that if you kick, you try to kick the enemy dead. If you punch, you must thrust to kill. If you strike, then you strike to kill the enemy. This is the spirit you need in order to progress in your training. Shoshin Shibana, founder of Kobayashi Shito-ryu Karate. No, I disagree. Disagree strongly. The only value of martial arts is the ability to kill people? No. The only value is self-defense? No. Martial arts is so much more. Think about all the ways that martial arts benefits you. Make a list. Make a list of all the things that it can do for somebody. And then tell me that you can't have those benefits, or at least the vast majority, doing a less violent curriculum. It still works. It's still discipline. It's still respect. It's still perseverance. It's still physical benefits. They all come into play. When I see the argument about martial arts, has become too much of a sport, I think of a few things. I think there are a few arguments in there. One, I think for some people they enjoyed doing martial arts when it was something very few people did, and it was their identity to be that odd person that does martial arts. Guess what? Most people still don't do martial arts, unfortunately, so you can still be that person. When people look and they say, oh, it's too flashy, it's all gymnastics and flips. If you're judging the entirety of what martial arts is by the way you see it represented in a few competitions, that's silly. That is just as silly as saying, watching the kids division and saying all martial artists are children. It's like watching it's like watching a tricking competition and saying that's what martial arts is. It's not. Martial arts is many things. And this statement, when I hear it, this is the martial arts equivalent of the grumpy old man on the porch, get off my lawn. You know, I don't jive with that. It doesn't work for me. If you don't want to do martial arts that way, then don't do martial arts that way. But if that's how someone else wants to do martial arts, let them. It doesn't impact you. It has nothing to do with you. Well, that person, you know, they give martial arts a bad name. No, you give martial arts a bad name by telling everyone else what they need to do. That is what holds martial arts back. It's not the kid who finds something that they're actually good at or they enjoy as opposed to traditional team sports. It's not the family that starts training in whatever martial art to do something together that they can all do and enjoy and learn at. That's not what's holding martial arts back. It's arrogant people saying martial arts has to be this way and no other way. I'm sick of it. I don't, you know what? I don't care who you are. I will tell you that. Sit me down in front of anybody. I will tell them that if that is how they feel, they are part of the problem. Unless they're on the show. I don't argue with guests on the show. And by the show, I mean Martial Arts Radio. Yeah. Good stuff. That last one got me fired up. Ready to kick stuff. Oh, you know, I was playing with kicking yesterday. I just remembered there's something I was playing with a bit of extra extension on a roundhouse kick. Just playing with turning the hip over a little bit without using the arms too much. And the bag was moving more. I was getting some more power out of it. So something I got to play with more before I demonstrate it. Well, thanks for coming by. Thanks for watching. Or if you're listening later, thanks for listening. Thank you to Frank and John for leaving things for me to respond to. And I'm going to sneeze. Excuse me. If you have things you want me to respond to, drop them below once the show closes, and I'll respond to them tomorrow. Tomorrow, we'll be doing this again, 6:30 a.m. Eastern U.S. time, right here on YouTube. And if you want to support us, first cut 15 at whistlekick.com or do something on the Patreon, patreon.com/whistlekick. Thanks, everybody. I'll see you back here tomorrow. Take care. Peace.